Now, in the wake of the Bondi terror attack, you'd think the ABC might pause briefly in its endless culture war against the country that funds it and take seriously its responsibility as the national broadcaster. It's a time we should be focusing on what we have in common rather than pitting Australians against each other. And yet, that's exactly what our national broadcaster has done. This week, in the lead up to Australia Day, the ABC rolled out a program that, well, frankly, it makes you wonder whether the people running the ABC actually like Australia at all, or whether their true mission is to stage a slow-motion cultural demolition, one taxpayer dollar at a time. Here's a clip from Always Was Tonight, hosted by Tony Armstrong this week.
Hey, so you shouldn't get too political around January 26. It might ruin the barbecue. Well, I'd never want to ruin a barbecue, so here's some tips to get yours sizzling. Flip the meat so that it's coated on both sides, just as some historians believe the gifts distributed by soldiers given to Aboriginal people at Manly Cove were coated in smallpox. But don't focus on that. It might ruin the barbecue.
Some historians believe the ABC's entire editorial philosophy now appears to hinge on the idea that insinuation plus a vague appeal to what some people believe equals settled historical fact. This isn't history, it's rumour. Anyway, Tony Armstrong continued.
I'm using olive oil, but you can use whatever oil you prefer, as long as the bottle doesn't remind you of the vial of live smallpox variola matter reportedly in the possession of Dr. John White, surgeon with the First Fleet. Because that could ruin the barbecue.
A vial of smallpox reportedly in Dr. John White's possession. Now, presumably, if it had been there, it would have been for inoculation, not genocide. But why let boring things like evidence, context, or basic medical history get in the way of a narrative that frames the very founding of this country as a kind of CSI crime scene? And why not smear Dr. John White as a genocidal maniac while we're at it? After all, he's not here to defend himself. Dead men make wonderfully convenient villains, don't they? They can't object, can't rebut, and they certainly can't sue when they're defamed by taxpayer-funded conspiracy theories. Here's Tony Armstrong again, using your money to insinuate, without a shred of proof, that your forebears deliberately employed biological warfare against Aboriginals in a bid to wipe them out. And if you enjoy a barbecue tomorrow, well, you're either stupid or uncaring. That's his other insinuation. Have a listen.
Time to get them off the heat and let them rest for a couple of minutes. By the way, did you know that no member of the First Fleet was recorded as having been infected by smallpox? Makes you wonder, how did the locals get infected by it in the first place? Unless, as some experts have argued, it was deliberately introduced to decimate a population who colonists have described as primitive and barbaric, which would have been a deliberate use of biological warfare leading to a genocide. But don't let that ruin your barbecue.
Some experts argue, and other experts point out there's no evidence of any such thing happening. But restraint, nuance and intellectual honesty are not exactly the ABC's strong suit these days. The most incendiary speculation is treated as gospel so long as it points in the approved direction. Australia bad, history evil, civilization suspect, gratitude forbidden. All of this is broadcast as Australia teeters on a knife edge of domestic security concerns, when social cohesion is not some airy academic concept, but an urgent, practical necessity. Instead of strengthening national unity, the ABC is busy pouring accelerant on cultural fault lines and striking matches with primetime enthusiasm. There's no evidence to suggest a smallpox virus was deliberately released 200 years ago, but I tell you what there is. There is plenty of evidence to suggest the ABC is deliberately poisoning the public mind today, cultivating guilt, shame and self-hatred in a nation that right now needs civic pride. Empires don't always fall because they're conquered. Sometimes they collapse because their own institutions teach their citizens to despise the very idea of themselves. And that's what seems to be happening in this country right now. And that's why you shouldn't invite the ABC to your Australia Day barbecue, because, well, that would ruin the barbecue.